the idea of Kaizen, right, which is continuous improvement in Japanese. And it's actually something I talk about a lot with my team as well. And the question I want to ask you though is, the idea sounds great, but why is it so hard for people to actually implement? Or at least I find it to be very difficult, to this idea of continuous improvement as an individual. Actually, as an individual, I find it easier than I do for an organization in making organizational muscle around improvement.
Why do you think it's hard?
I think it's hard because it's about investment. Essentially, Kaizen is about making a long-term investment and having a longer-term perspective. Like, we need to make improvements to improve the organization. And when it's your own individual self, that's sort of, you can hopefully, most people think they're going to live a long time and they want to improve themselves and get better every day. When it's a job, it feels like I have things I need to get done. My manager doesn't care if I make some short-term, some small improvement here. It's not going to be noticed. So people do the things they can optimize that gets noticed and they get credit for. And Kaizen is about lots of small improvements over time.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's one of them for sure. For me, what I see most often is there's a couple of things. One is the simplest one is that people don't know how to do it. Right. So there are a lot of things that maybe from the outside it seems obvious, like this is how we can make a small improvement to this, but for some people it isn't. And for a lot of organizations, CEOs particularly, I would say, or leaders, a lot of leaders do not do a great job of communicating what success looks like. Right. So if we don't know what we're improving towards or for, that makes it extremely difficult to do that. There's, it's like if someone says, hey, you need to be more strategic. It's like, okay, what does that mean? I mean, I could think of what that means, but I don't know if that's what that means to that person. And then you get into this like cognitive dissonance issue. So there's a lot of times where it's just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do that or what that looks like. And so they don't. The other one is, yes, it's hard. It's work. It requires you being introspective. It requires you taking that extra time to look at not only doing the work itself, but then taking the extra time to look back at what went wrong with the work or what could have been better or anything like that. So it is sort of that extra step. And then on that end, there's of course, there's opportunity that you're going to unearth something or reveal something that makes you look bad and jeopardizes your job. And ultimately, what ends up happening is that you can have two kinds of cultures in a business. You can have a culture where people are playing to win, which means that they're willing to fail sometimes, and you have to celebrate that and allow that and welcome that. And the other kind of culture is the one where they're playing not to lose. It's that simple, right? And so you can have a really great business that grows and scales and runs with people who are playing not to lose. I think there's a limit, and I think that the experience is probably overall a lot more soul-sucking for the people involved in that kind of an organization. But it depends on what you want. If people are playing to win, that's when they take risks. That's when they innovate. That's when they're excited about finding the mistakes, and because it's an opportunity for everybody to do better.
Do you celebrate finding those mistakes? Like, how do you build a culture around that mindset, right? So it sounds good, but how do you build a culture around doing that?
We, at my previous company, we would always incentivize people submitting 5 why smarts, right? The more the more, the better. So we were actually tracking people's ability to look at what they had done wrong or what they felt maybe didn't go really, really well and how it could have been done better.
And you would just ask people to say like, hey, do the 5 whys on what went wrong here. Like individually, just go do it and come back to me to explain like what went wrong.
Yeah, and the whole point of it, a big point of it, is that it empowers people to find a solution to their own problem, because it sort of walks you down that path rather than somebody coming to you with a problem and being like, I don't know what to do, because that's just not good, right? And at the end of the day, it's really how you respond to those kinds of situations. If somebody makes a mistake and you call them out on it and you embarrass them or you make them feel like they did something wrong, this is like parenting. Like, it's not that different, right? Like you can't use like making somebody feel bad into making them better, right? Like that's not how that's going to work. And the thing is, if somebody makes a mistake, there's a mistake. If they make the mistake more than once, that's a different issue, and then that's something you can address. But I also am a pretty big believer in the sort of extreme ownership idea of things, right? Where it's like, if there's something wrong with the team, it's my fault. If there's something wrong with the process, it's my fault as an owner, right? And we look at how do we solve for those issues, because what we really need to be thinking about, and my methodology, as you know, is called the replaceable founder, right? Everybody should be as replaceable as possible, including me, including the founder, whoever it might be. And what that means is that the business needs to be able to stand on its own, which means that if somebody makes a mistake at something, we're trying to make the business a sustainable unit, something that can stand on its own, something that doesn't require you being stuffed in that job and in that position in order for it to operate. So everybody needs to be in that mindset of being more replaceable so that we can be replaced up and do better, more interesting things.